propaganda is a crucial aspect of war. It, if done correctly, allows a country to justify its actions to its citizens and raise support for war. If done very well, it can even demoralize the people of other nations. World War II was a war where propaganda played a central role. There was a relatively even split between military and civil propaganda in World War II, and this allowed propaganda to affect morale, production, and militaries. This propaganda poster is of German origin. It shows a smiling woman in military gear. It has the inscription, Woman in Luftschutz. The Reichs-Luftschutzbund, which means National Air Protection League, and was often shortened to Luftschutz, was a civilian volunteer organization headed by the Luftwaffe in Nazi Germany. According to the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, Luftschutz members worked with the public to prepare them for air raids. This poster also showed that women were allowed to serve, which was not something seen much at the time, as it was created in the early 1930s and its members were considered to be part of the military. However, this falls in line with Nazi Germany's wanting to motivate and galvanize the population into being warlike and aggressive. This is a great example of how Germany was so effective at utilizing propaganda, as even its war posters appealed not only to men, but also to women and children. This allowed propaganda to affect the whole population with ease, allowing for an incredibly easy transfer of ideas by the government to the people. This propaganda poster is Italian. This poster depicts two world leaders, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, President of the United States, and Winston Churchill, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, are holding smoking guns and laughing. In the foreground, there is a destroyed city with smoke and fire, as well as a pile of dead Italian civilians, showing the ruins and loss of life the Allies have caused in Italy. In the background, a pirate flag is being flown, showing how the Americans and British are not ethical and do not have respect toward the Italian civilians. The text reads, "On them rests the blame." This shows how Italy had been subject to many attacks, as this poster was created still early on in the war. It also shows how desperate Italy was, showing a very gruesome poster to attempt to stir up war support among the Italian populace. It's safe to say that Italy did not have the same success in propaganda that Germany did. This lack of war support, along with several other factors such as geography, military strength, and strategy, led them to be called the soft underbelly of Europe and be the Axis power's weakest link. This Hungarian propaganda poster is very strongly worded. It says, June 22nd, on this day, Europe and Hungary's struggle for independence began. Remember, Hungarians, with the faith of victory against the Bolshevist dogma, fight. This poster also shows a yelling Hungarian soldier, and behind them are the flags of Hungary and Nazi Germany. This poster tries to get Hungarians to fight for their country by ascribing World War II to Europe's independence and transition to fascism, in which Hungary is taking part. This is backed up by the fact that June 22nd is Hungary's Independence Day. Hungary's propaganda effort seems to have been successful, as they had a significant amount of participation in the war and played a very large role in the invasion of Yugoslavia. This Soviet propaganda stamp was created in 1939 for the invasion of Poland by the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. The background features a photograph of the Soviet invasion of Poland with soldiers and a KV-1 tank running into a small Polish town. The stamp also features a Polish farmer, left, kissing a Soviet soldier, right. This is a depiction of the socialist fraternal kiss. The kiss is done between socialist leaders and usually happens on the cheeks. However, when two socialist leaders respect each other very much and have really good diplomatic relations, it may be a kiss on the lips, as is shown in the stamp. This means that the stamp is trying to show that Poland and the Soviet Union have great relations, as the kiss is done between regular people. This could only ever happen if the nations had insanely good relations, which is being shown here. The choice of putting it on a stamp rather than a poster is also extremely important. A poster might only receive limited interaction, as people are likely to walk by it even if it's placed in a very busy area. However, by using a stamp, it forces people to interact with and see the stamp. The number of people that would see this is staggeringly large, as it was practically required for longer distance communication at the time. Thus, as people prepared their letters for sending, they directly interact with and looked at the stamp, which was also often scrutinized by the user. Stamps are an amazing form for propaganda to come in, and the Soviets should know this, as they were masters at propaganda, similarly to the Germans. This American propaganda poster uses war crimes against American prisoners of war by the Japanese in order to stir up support for more labor in the workforce. The Japanese, after taking the Philippines, took many American soldiers prisoner. They then forced them to walk to one of the prisoner of war camps around the island nation, often with very little food or water. If a prisoner stopped, they were killed and left on the side of the road. This poster tells that 5,200 American prisoners had been killed by the Japanese in a cruel march of death. This poster also asks the viewer what they're going to do about it, making them feel more tied to the event. The poster then tells the viewer to stay on the job until the Japanese are beat. This poster tried to get any viewers to stay and work instead of quitting or protesting by making them feel individually important to the war effort. This was important as many workers had joined the military and the United States was experiencing a major labor shortage. Any workers that were still eligible to work had to continue working, as a lowering in production could not be afforded with the United States' level of involvement in the war. This was not very effective, as you can't create more labor from what is already had, and the United States had to look for other solutions. This is an incredibly famous American propaganda poster. It features Rosie the Riveter saying, "We can do it." This poster aimed to fix the labor shortage in the United States by encouraging women to join the workforce, namely in defense factories. This was very effective at stopping the labor shortage, as it allowed a whole new demographic, which was also a very large portion of the population, to take on new jobs and fill the gaps left by soldiers. Due to the increase in production caused by decreasing the labor shortage, the United States was able to produce more goods, which allowed them to launch large campaigns such as those seen in the Pacific and on D-Day. This expansion of the labor force also allowed women to obtain higher paying jobs, which was very important for the providing of their families, especially during the war. Overall, this poster was very successful and continues to be a symbol of feminism even today. During World War II, the production of fruits and vegetables was struggling to keep up with demand. In addition to those typically required by the American populace, the government was also in need of many. The reason for demand being so high is that soldiers require many more calories a day than the average civilian, at around 4,200 compared to around 2,000. For this reason, the United States government decided to recommend that people grow victory gardens. This was a widely successful implementation, and, according to the United States Department of Agriculture, more than $200 million worth of vegetables, not counting potatoes and sweet potatoes, were grown in farm home gardens in 1939. These 4,800,000 square home gardens produce vegetables worth a little more than those grown for sale on 3 million acres. This allowed for three incredibly important outcomes. 1. Citizens with victory gardens could spend less on food and thus stimulate other areas of the economy. They could also grow their wealth, which was important during wartime. 2. In addition to having to spend less on food, gardeners could also sell their crops, obtaining more money. 3. It allowed for pressure to be taken off the agricultural industry. This was incredibly important as it allowed for more vegetables to be sent to the military, who used them to feed their many soldiers, allowing for more intense energy spending campaigns such as island hopping. This propaganda was very effective and reached its goal, likely even surpassing its intended target. This American propaganda poster was intended to warn soldiers of the dangers of not keeping time. It includes a poem about a soldier named Goonie. Goonie did not keep his watch time correct, as he thought nothing bad would come of it. He then got lost and, using his sextant in combination with the incorrect time, presumably went into enemy territory and was captured as a prisoner of war. This poster also features a photo of the soldier Goonie being viewed by Adolf Hitler, Benito Mussolini, and Hirohito. Hirohito and Mussolini are very clearly drawn as racist caricatures. Racism was often used in propaganda posters to make Americans feel superior to the adversaries and reinforce the idea that America should win the war. Propaganda was vital to each nation's war effort on the home front and the war front. Propaganda focused primarily on raising war support or positively impacting the production of goods. Without propaganda, the war likely would have developed far differently.